Hello and what is going on today, guys? Tomcat here, and today we are in Forza Horizon 3 talking about Forza Horizon 4, and the subject of today's video is barn finds in Forza Horizon 4. So, the barn finds themselves, now they will be in bunkers, not necessarily barns. And by the way, that one right off the bat, that was a complete fail, and I just left it in there because I was like, you know what, I could edit it out, but I'm not going to. Screw it, I'm gonna leave it in there. So anyways, the barn finds will be in bunkers, and that is not the most interesting part. The most interesting part, which, by the way, I'm going to be doing a series on finding the barn finds when the game comes out, so make sure you stay tuned for that. Now, the barn finds themselves, with being in those bunkers, the interesting thing about it is that there are some that are season dependent. Now, say what you will about that, and there are some people that are cool with it, that are excited about it, that are happy about it. There are other people that really don't like the idea of a discoverability aspect of the game like barn finds being dependent on the given season. Now, this is not going to be, I don't think it's going to be a big deal, personally. I mean, say for example, I mean, like, since the seasons last about a week, a year in the game is going to be about a month. So if you think about it on that time frame, you'll have access to pretty much everything you will need to access at a certain point in every month. So when they say they're season dependent, what that probably means is that there's probably going to be bunkers on islands that would otherwise be inaccessible unless a lake was frozen over. That's what that means, at least to me. That's what when I see that, when I hear that, and when I think to myself, okay, what does that mean? I think mostly about things on islands out in the middle of frozen lakes. Now, that doesn't mean that there won't be other season-dependent aspects of these barn finds, and I don't know if they're changing the name to, like, it would be weird if they changed it to, like, bunker finds or something. That would just be strange. That would just be super weird. But regardless, I mean, I'm going to keep calling them barn finds until I learn otherwise, because I haven't learned otherwise yet. But I really think that the barn finds coming back is not only, I mean, we all knew they were going to do it. It's not only a good move, but we all knew they were going to do it because it's kind of a staple of Horizon at this point. It kind of needs to be there for it to be a Horizon game, in my opinion, just because it's a discoverability aspect of the game that not only promotes, you know, finding these different cars, but it also promotes exploration of the map, and it allows you to see that I did not see coming, but it allows you to see areas of the map that you otherwise normally wouldn't see. And I think that that's an important aspect of why they're here, and especially in the Horizon 4 map, because the map is more involved than ever before, right? The map is more involved than ever before. The map is deeper than ever before. The weather is deeper than ever before. And so placing these finds further out into the wilderness is going to make you explore more. And from what I've seen, they look like they're going to be more out in the middle of nowhere and a little bit better hidden than they were before, which I think is really cool, because that means that you're going to have to really start thinking, you know what I mean? You're going to have to really start getting smart about where you look for these things, because if you don't, there are some that, or it seems like, to me anyway, it seems like there would be some that could get mildly elusive and could actually lead you off on a wild goose chase every now and again if you didn't really focus in on where they would be. And I'm sure there'll be clues to where the barns will be, I should say, sorry, bunkers and stuff like that. I'm sure there'll be clues as to where they will be, but we haven't seen any of those, any indication of what those clues could be yet. So that, I'm sure, will be something, again, that we'll see once we get closer to the release of the game. But I think also, I know there's still people that are upset about it being in the UK. And honestly, you know, there's a lot of people saying, oh, it's the wrong location, blah, blah, blah. Like, whatever location you think it should have been, a lot of people are still hung up on the whole Japan thing. And I kind of want to just put that to rest. You know what I mean? I kind of want to, at least from my point of view, I kind of want to just put that to rest. Because I see people still hung up on the Japan thing. And I'm like, honestly, guys, to be fair, like, I would play this game on any environment that they made as long as the map itself was good. And I think that that's the biggest thing that people don't get, is that if the map is good, the game will be fun. Now, unless you are that location dedicated, that you would rather have a less inclusive Japan map than, like, a much more inclusive, say, for example, I don't know, UK map, South Africa map, wherever, you know, wherever they chose to go, this time with it being the UK, obviously. And I think also, too, with it being you know, the home of Playground, it's definitely something that they have wanted to do for a while, and I think there's an important aspect of that. When you allow a developer like that to do something where, you know, that's their home, right? They want to do a good job. They want to put their heart and soul into it. Not saying they didn't want to put their heart and soul into the other games, but I think that they have such a connection, you know, to the UK as a whole that it kind of makes it a little more personal for them. You know what I mean? It makes it a little bit more personal for them. It makes it a little bit more involved for them. And I think that, like, when you have that as a driving factor, just as a person, you know, and you're really into the location, you want to make it the best that you can make it. You want to listen to the community's feedback. You want all of these things. And to be honest, I think that they're really doing that with the game. And I know a lot of people are saying, well, no, they're not listening to the community. If they listened to the community, they wouldn't have been in the UK in the first place. Now, I don't know about you guys, but the funny thing is, I saw a lot of people that were wanting the UK and were predicting the UK before the game launched. I think the thing is, the people that wanted it in Japan, their voices just might be a little bit louder because they post, you know, they'll post about it everywhere, right? They'll go wherever, and you can't bring up Horizon 4 without them talking about it. And again, that's totally fine. That's your opinion. If you are all about it being in Japan, that is your opinion. And you know, you do with that what you will. Maybe the next one will be in Japan, and if it is, awesome. But again, I think that instead of getting hung up on the fact that they chose the UK, it's more important to look ahead to the gameplay of the game and find out as much as we can about the actual map itself, the gameplay itself. I mean, y'all haven't even seen the map yet. I haven't seen the map yet. None of us have seen the map yet. So I think it's pretty ridiculous to say, oh, the location sucks, the map is gonna suck, when you haven't even seen the map yet. And that, I think, is the biggest thing that I see right now going on, is like, give the game time. Give it time to come out of its, you know, to come out of its shell. Give the features time to be released to the community and actually be seen. Give it time for us to see the map, see, you know, even more of the twisty roads. We already know, I mean, we've had it confirmed on my stream that the game is going to have paved, twisty, switchback toge roads, mountain run roads, you know? So if we're gonna have paved, like, proper toge roads, I'm in. I don't care where in the world the map is. I'm in. That's all that was the main thing that I cared about with Horizon 4, and they've done it. They're bringing that into the game. Everything else, I'm like, cool, it's awesome that everything else is here, but the fact that they're bringing twisty mountain toge roads, I'm in. Like, seriously, that's the game for me right there. And that might not be the game for that might not be like the game maker for everybody, but that was like what made the game for me, because I know they're going to have a drift pad. I know they're going to have a drag strip. I know they're going to have highways, you know what I mean? So the drag racing people are covered. The roll racing people are covered. We've seen that there's going to be mud and off-roading and trails, so the off-road people are going to be covered. So really, I don't see the big deal about it being in the UK. I don't see the big deal about getting hung up on the location. You know what I'm saying? I think getting hung up on the location is missing the point of the overall grand scheme of everything. So I got off on a weird tangent where I was talking about barn finds. But the barn finds, I'm curious to see if they're all going to be old British cars, or if there's going to be a few other cars mixed in there, because I know some people had a concern back in Horizon 3 that the barn finds were going to be all Australian cars, and that kind of got, you know, disproven pretty quick. I mean, the Australian cars were there, sure, but they didn't dominate the barn finds as a whole, you know what I'm saying? So there were some American cars mixed in, there were some European cars mixed in, and they did a really good job of mixing them in with the Australian cars as they went. And I really, really hope and think that that's what they'll be doing with the Horizon 4 barn finds. Now, I'm really hoping for barn find cars that we've never seen before. I just really don't want to see a bunch of recycled barn find cars, because if it's a bunch of recycled barn find cars, then I feel like the motivation factor to find them might be a little bit lower. But if there's a bunch of new barn find cars, that would completely change the game. That would completely change the game and make them, and it would raise the motivation factor to find them by a lot, because if you raise that motivation factor to find them, oh my god, people are going to be out there looking for them like mad. They're going to be looking for them all over the freaking place. So, with that being said, I think that it would be a smart move on their part to include a lot of brand new barn find cars, because brand new barn find cars would breathe a lot of new life into the barn find system, the barn find discovery system, that it currently, you know, I mean, it had it in Horizon 3 because they ramped it up like a ton, but I think that it would add some even even more life into that dynamic, into that gameplay system as a whole. That, I mean, it does have, but it would inject even more of that into it. You know what I'm saying? So I think it's a good move on their part. Now, also, some cars that I would like to see as barn finds, or that I think would work as barn finds at this point. I mean, I think that, I mean, at this point, you know, 40-something years, well, almost, you know, almost 40-something years later, the Ferrari F40 could be a barn find. You know what I mean? That you could literally make that a barn find in Horizon 4. Like, what else? What else could be a barn find? Like a C4 Corvette Grand Sport. That could be a barn find. These, you know, there are modern cars now that could be put in that barn find role. It doesn't have to be just like super old stuff. And I think that that's an interesting idea, because if you started to put slightly newer stuff, like not necessarily newer stuff, but cars that are just starting to get their antique status into the barn find system, that would make it kind of interesting, because it would add in some cars that we're not used to seeing. But if you guys have any opinions of your own about what you think they should do with barn finds, what you think should be added to the barn find system, let me know in the comment section below, because if you guys have questions, I'm actually putting together some questions that I'm going to try and get the developers themselves to answer. So if we get enough really good questions and some unique questions, then hopefully we can get some really interesting answers from the developers themselves. So hope you all enjoyed the video. If you did, don't forget to slam that like button. Tell me in the comment section down below what y'all thought of it. And if you're new to the channel, don't forget to subscribe for more daily videos. And I will see y'all next time. Talk to y'all later.